I'm looking on public records to see if I can find my mother's information. It's not even there, nowhere to be found online. So I'm going to have to take it a step further, go into vital records if if it hasn't been manipulated already. As I told you, people like this individual who was a pastor and works for the Department of Justice, he has a tendency to block, modify, alternate things, to block and modify documents. These weird, narcissistic men today love changing things. They love paperwork and signing, forging, and committing all sorts of fraud. They do this to just to hide who they really are. But they're going to all be found out. Every last dirty little narcissistic man and the ones hiding behind them, because it's unacceptable for what happened to my mother. I don't care how long ago it was. This happened in 2016, and they expected to bury her, to bury her existence, especially the copycat who decided she was going to take her out to get back at me. She hated the fact that I stayed to myself. She hated that I didn't want to come around her at a certain time because it was just too much drama. And, then they try to make it look like I was this, psycho individual. And, didn't know how to manage my emotions. Manage my emotions when you've been doing all sorts of things to me for most of my life, treating me like Cinderella. And that's an understatement, but we'll start there. Then telling the whole community that, I'm dangerous. When this woman has been causing harm to people for years, she lived a double life. But these men, it starts with men. And I'm seeing it more and more every day because men, they hold the standard. They are fathers, protectors, supposed to be guides and steering children the right way, not mingling and mixing with them and, you know, abusing them in many ways. But, back to my mother. I have to go and do my best to find her information because while I was living with that copycat, she was searching for me. Or, at least, based on what she said, she saw me a few times, but she had to hide because that woman kicked her out of her own marriage using perps to help her accomplish that. It's just crazy.